and we'll bring on the next presenter, and that is Aura from University of Rhode Island. It's going to be talking about HyFlex. And now I'm going to see if I'm going to call them my minions. Slightly condescending. Behind the scenes, they're going to be doing all the work for me, or here we go. All right. Cool. All right. So I've got a bit of overlap with presenters, so I'll drop you two back down. Thanks again, and hi, Aura.
Hello. Ready to go?
Ready to go. Cheers.
All right. Hello, everybody. My name is Aura Fajardo Grandidge, and I'm the lab manager for the Anatomy and Physiology labs at the University of Rhode Island. Whoo, big mouthful over there. That basically means that I'm a person in charge of delivering labs from soup to nuts, pedagogy, lab design, lab setup for about 1,000 students every semester. And I do this with the support of about 17 graduate students every semester, about 30 undergrad teaching assistants, and 3 to 4 people who help me actually set up their labs on a regular basis. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the HyFlex experience that we've had this semester. And I had to put that picture of how I feel about 2020. It's been a dumpster fire, right? It's been a challenge of ginormic proportions for everybody in the world, and particularly for healthcare providers and educators. And I believe many of you are both. We've been tasked by our administrators to continue to provide a flexible education for our students in the midst of a global pandemic. And the reality is that we need flexibility. The idea of HyFlex was not even in my vocabulary before April of 2020. And however, between April and May, I somehow had to jump headfirst into this model to prepare for the fall semester for a very large number of freshmen that were coming in. So yes, most of my students are first-year college students. So what does HyFlex mean, and how does it involved in course creation? Well, it's a model that was created in 2006 by Brian Beatty from San Francisco State University. And he's got a free book, by the way. I have a link right over here over HyFlex. It's free. He published it in 2019. It kind of explains the steps of the pillars of the course. But the bottom line is that it's a design that allows for when you develop a course under that model, you're doing it for people who are coming in synchronously, for people who are online synchronously, and for people who are online asynchronously. So it's really, in theory, a perfect thing for what we're supposed to be doing this semester. But of course, practice always surprises us with some glitches, and we'll discuss some of those. LT was really, really an easy platform to do this with. So I'm very grateful that I had the knowledge already before all of this happened to us. So what did we do at URI to manage a HyFlex laboratory for 1,000 students, most of whom are freshmen? I really had to think about what parts of the in-person lab I wanted to maintain, which parts we thought were critical to convert into a HyFlex experience. At the end, it boiled down to two things: practicing skills and terminology, and also some hands-on activities. I was also really concerned about equity and access because we have a very diverse student body. And I wanted to make sure that all the students that we had as much of a level playing field as we could offer by design, regardless of where they were on campus, off campus, etc. So we decided to make the difficult decision of making in-person attendance optional, which seems like some sort of sacrilege when you're thinking about laboratories. But this was actually pretty clever. But the trick to make this work is we also we're giving synchronous Zoom introductions for all the labs by the TAs, and those were recorded. The LT lessons that used to be kind of support now became kind of the centerpiece, 50% of their grade, completing all these activities that in the past they used to just do in the lab. Because now quizzes and practicals were all in the learning management system. And as Dr. McKnight already described, they're open book. So we wanted them to complete those lessons. Now, to-go packs were basically the centerpiece of our work. That was how we brought that hands-on experience to the students. We purchased, this was logistically kind of a challenge because we had to create 800 bags, and we allowed the students to kind of choose which activities they wanted to do hands-on. Things from like dissecting kits, dissecting organs. We were sending blood typing kits, urinary collection kits. So all of that was made in hand in our labs with my undergrad assistants, who were absolutely amazing. But that was really the key component to make the HyFlex a success, because the students remotely or in person could bring the stuff, do the work, and enjoy some of that experience. So also another piece that was important for the equity part is that we cover the costs of the LT access with lab fees, which traditionally in the US, we would have had them pay for them. This is a picture of my children, by the way, helping me pack those ridiculous bags, many of them. So I don't have a ton of time to show you some of the many HyFlex conversions that we've done for labs, but I'm showing you a couple in some of our students' favorite labs. This is the blood lab, which is traditionally in person. The students really enjoyed. How do we manage to make it a HyFlex? I was able to cover the learning objectives by combining LT's virtual microscopy tools, which our previous presenters did a wonderful job explaining basically what we've similar activities that we've been doing. And I took hematocrit and blood type of as many people as I could over the summer and photographed it. So the students had the opportunity to actually evaluate real human samples that will be helpful to cover those learning objectives that were critical for us. Now, they also, the students who chose the to-go kit, then they could continue to do the work at home. So how did that go? We were able to create instructions. We had videos that hopefully for by next semester will be embedded into LT with all of the step-by-step instructions for the students. And lastly, then students could upload their results, annotate them. And very important to me as a lab manager, I wanted to be able to create very specific cleanup instructions for students who were in person at home or on campus, but choosing not to come into the lab. For AMP2, for AMP1, that's a model-heavy identification course. We use the annotate tools quite extensively to give students the opportunity to practice writing down the names of the structures, since this is part of what they need to do to acquire the vocabulary. So we took tons of pictures, surveyed, and created a good database of images. And here again, an example of the histology microscopy, virtual microscopy, which I absolutely love. So after 4 weeks, we surveyed our students to get a glimpse of how things were going. And amazingly enough, 88% responded, which was a little over 800 students. So here are some of the cute takeaways from our survey. Students, we thought they were going to be coming because they were so desperate for that in-person next situation, or so we thought. The freshmen, only 8% of them had come to all of the lab sections, which again was a surprise to our administration because the parents were roaring that they wanted their kids to have the opportunity to come to campus and do stuff in person. For the AMP2 students, we have even fewer students coming in, but that also tells us that they're comfortable with what they're learning online and they're feeling like they're getting a complete experience, which was also positive. The other interesting thing is if you give them the choice to be asynchronous and to wait till last minute to submit the work, they will. So only 14% of our students in general will actually complete the work during their lab period when they had the help from their teaching staff, which was kind of a big challenge. And I'll talk about it if I have time in a minute. So let's discuss the happy victories. The students have been really, really happy with the online experience that they've received or the HyFlex experience they've received. Enthusiastic feedback, they appreciate the flexibility, they're loving being able to do hands-on stuff from home and be able to get the feedback from their instructors. And they really love the organization. I've never gotten as much positive feedback in a semester in a midterm evaluation, and I think it's because the students are comparing this course with other courses that they're experiencing and they're happy. Lessons learned, the tricky thing, our freshmen, at least ours at URI, are not ready for fully asynchronous courses. They don't have the educational maturity to kind of organize their time in a proper way. They need a little bit more hand holding. Even with the best written instructions, even with short videos, they still are asking questions via email. Crazy amount of emails, by the way, because they really are not paying attention to the Zoom introductions. So we need to work on that. We need more structure, shorter deadlines. So I'm probably going to take away the asynchronous piece that it's part of the HyFlex model because it's really not working for our students. But that's easy to do with LT. But I'm also need to figure out ways how to engage the students during the Zoom meetings to get them to work in groups better. I don't know how we're doing with time, but I want to spend 1 second thanking my amazing team. These are Rebecca Dickinson is an undergrad student who basically put 800 kits together, like amazing, amazing. Sydney Schreck, Emily Kai, Fatina Oliveira, they're like really the hands that keep me rolling. And of course, I wanted to thank Valerie Van Ryn, who's been amazing in the last few months helping with all the issues with the students. I'm going to stop right here, and I'll take any questions if I have any time left.
Yep, got time for one question that hopefully we can see.
Hold on a minute, let me open the Q&A. Okay, so the question here is, how did we approach assessment before? How was assessment before the HyFlex approach? Our assessment was very heavy on practicals and quizzes. So every week they had a quiz, and they had multiple practical exams, and they had a very heavy graded final, cumulative final practical at the end. We kind of did away with that. LT is now 50% of the grade. We have short quizzes every week and non-cumulative practical exams that are worth now 20% of their grade. So hopefully that's helpful.
Oh, it's all the questions and perfect timing. So I feel a bit mean making everyone try and do stuff in 10 minutes. But hopefully we get through more, going for breadth rather than depth. But just to reiterate that, we can be using those Padlet boards or social sessions, or talking outside of these events. So don't feel like everything has to be done in this one event. If you want to communicate with the presenters outside, by all means, feel free to try and reach out to them directly, or go through me. So I'd just like to thank you again, Aura, for that. I don't actually know HyFlex, so it's good to learn something. Thank you.
Thanks.